Hi, I'm Matt Hinkle, and we're going to go over a quick method of Fireground friction loss, which is the Q method or condensed Q method. This method is used for calculating friction loss per 100 feet of hose in 3-inch hose, 4-inch hose, and 5-inch hose. So as an example, I put 500 gallons per minute. We're going to calculate how much friction loss is in each hose that's flowing 500 gallons per minute. You can insert any GPM that you want into the equation. You just work the given equation for each hose. So the first one's going to be for 3-inch hose. 3-inch hose is just Q squared. And if you remember from previous videos, Q is the quantity of water in 100 gallons per minute. So hundreds of gallons per minute. So Q squared in this case is going to be 500 divided by 100 squared. So that's going to be 500 divided by 100 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So that means if you're going to flow 500 gallons a minute through a 3-inch hose, you'll have 25 psi friction loss per 100 feet. We take that same equation and we divide it by 5 for a 4-inch hose. So Q squared divided by 5. That'll be 500 divided by 100 because it's 500 GPM, which is 5. 5 squared is 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So in a 4-inch hose flowing the same amount of water, you'll have 5 psi friction loss per 100 feet of hose. So you'll see there's a tremendous difference between a 3-inch hose and a 4-inch hose. Now for a 5-inch hose, you do the same thing, but instead of dividing by 5, you divide by 15. So Q squared, 500 gallons per minute, and this is in hundreds of gallons. So 500 divided by 100 is 5 hundreds of gallons per minute. 5 squared is 25, and 25 divided by 15 is 1.6, or just above 1.6. So that one's not as easy to do in your head, but you can see there's a huge difference in friction loss between a 5-inch hose and a 3-inch hose. Okay, here's another example using the condensed Q method. This time we're going to move 1,000 gallons per minute through the hose line. So with a 3-inch hose, we're going to use in hundreds of gallons per minute, we'll have 1,000 divided by 100, which is going to be 10, and 10 squared is 100. So friction loss is going to be 100 psi per 100 feet of hose in the 3-inch hose. If we're going to flow 1,000 gallons per minute through a 4-inch hose, we have 1,000 divided by 100 to get us into hundreds of gallons per minute. It's going to be 10 squared is going to be 100. 100 divided by 5 is going to be 20. So we have 20 psi friction loss per 100 feet of hose in a 4-inch hose. Then a 5-inch hose, we do the same thing but divide by 15. So Q is going to be 1,000 divided by 100, which is 10. 10 squared is 100. 100 divided by 15 is going to be 6.6 psi per 100 feet of hose. So you can see a tremendous difference between the 3-inch hose and the 5-inch hose when we move up to 1,000 gallons per minute. We have 100 psi friction loss per 100 feet versus 20 psi per 100 feet versus 6.6 psi per 100 feet. So moving from a 3-inch to a 5-inch hose when you move a lot of water can make a massive difference in the amount of friction loss that you have.